Thank you, thank you. So, a warrior, a mage, a gunner, an archer, and a cat walk into an item store.
Hey Dekaivn, why are you always so angry?
Why are you such a...
What happened to you, man? Back in preschool, you used to be so happy and outgoing and communicative and everything.
Because you're...
When was the last time you truly remember being happy?
Besides, whenever I get mega high, out of the times that you left me to find new friends, the tiny nearly strapped my dick or pretended I almost lynched you in the bathroom. I was actually supposed to arrive with some music.
What about, what was it called? Ultimate
Oh, Battle Fantasy? Oh, hell yeah, man, that was the shit. Man, I play that stuff so much despite me being a dumbass kid who don't understand anything. God, cat, that was awesome.
So, play it again?
Nah, can. I have PTSD from playing EBF5.
Did you ever finish it?
Nope, rage quit. Begrudgingly tried again and quit halfway through and has been sitting there since. Since that day, I've been afraid to look at anything that starts with the word epic.
Then go play the other games that you actually like.
How about you not be a bitch?
But didn't people like the review?
Why? Because the video I made 4 years ago on the cheapest mic I could find is still some of my second most viewed? Preferably none. I haven't used Discord since then, so Godcat knows how much fun they've made of me since then. Besides, if they heard my unironic opinion on lands, the most then would hunt me down.
I think you're just being negative.
I think you're just being a bitch.
If you don't play it again, then I'm republishing your private videos.
You son of a... I wonder if there's any consequence. No, wait, there's no tentacle pregnancy monsters in this game. I wonder if this is any consequence. Epic Battle Fantasy 5. No, wait, hold on. Epic Battle Fantasy 5 is a top-down, turn-based rocket-propelled grenade. That's a nuke. That is simultaneously my most beloved franchise from way back when I was little, despite the fact I hate EBF1, tolerate 2, and I'm super biased towards 3 and 4. Also, I've never played the other games, and I don't care about the new thing that they're making. Also, it's 3 years late to get this game just because I beat God. And then another year for me to actually play this game and bury it for all eternity, hoping to never return. The last positive memory of my childhood is fading rapidly.
Dekaivn, the police are here to arrest you for splitting the planet apart again.
Shut up, it's my limit break! In this game we play as 5. Actually we play as 1, then 2, then 3, then 2, before 4, then 2. Oh wait, I forgot about the key we beat up. And then it's 5. My head hurts already and I haven't even mentioned the over 200 summons. And it's our mission to go on a jolly little adventure full of danger, loot, friendship, and... Along the way we will beat up, is that a... Why does the cat have a bomb? What the fuck?
I feel awful. I already want to start again. I'm gonna load my old save. Oh no, it saved after no legs. I have to start from the beginning. Yep, I'm starting from the beginning.
Welcome to the world of Epic Fantasy 5. The series was never supposed to make it this far. A great and wonderful world full of tentacles, creatures that will annoy you more so because you fail to capture them than actually fighting them. And the worst creature of them all, puzzles. There's hidden loot inside of chests that are barely visible or just straight up hidden and either being hinted at with spark of light or just nothing. Remember the bush in the bush, the wood in the wood, and the chili in the chili. There's also a chili in the sky with infested pot on this bush in the cursed town. The world is comprised of several regions, starting with Hope's Harbor. I will begrudgingly admit that a river harbor still counts as a coastal harbor, but if appears a harbor in this game, then Hope's Harbors is the correct term, but whatever. How does a desert exist next to a jungle a stone's throw away from the coldest place on the planet? Also, this cat stole from my trash. Wild Tropics. This girl called me homeless looking. Yeah, well, check if your fridge is running out of items. Now let's see you cook if I take your oven's gunpowder and magma chunk. Remember to steal the shovel and visit the steroid store, in whatever order. Oh, and if a girl tries to stop your thievery... Ice Cave. This might surprise you, but, this cave? We don't know how to skate. No man's land. It has several men within it. It's also got a Mario Kart reference. And a tank. And a little girl with a bow. Iron Fortress. Does this look OSHA compliant? There's no way the owner is paying taxes on this place. Probably throws Darius agents down in this room. Oh, there he is. Greenwood Village. Oh my god, it's an EBF4 reference. Someone remind me about the temple at the end of the game. Mystic Woods. It's mystical, because these enemies are really fun. Also flying mirrors. The river that turns the frogs gay. Antarctica. The most difficult thing in this inhospitable place is finding all the popcorn pieces for some dude's meal. Oh, and next to it is the place where half a quarter of the world turned to lava from the impact of the alien invasion. We'll talk about that later. For now, just remember that this tear in the fabric of reality isn't the same as the other tear in the fabric of reality. Actually, now that I think about it. Yes, they are the same, but no, they are not, and neither are associated with the pixel enemies. Is that a donut? Oh, it's a snake. Oh, almost forgot about the other tear in the fabric of reality. Hey, that's a cute cat. What the f? Also the cultist places, because why not? Just ignore the skeletons at the back, it's fine. But who are the 5 heroics of heroism who will yeah, half of these moves are in the Geneva Convention. Now I have most of the limit breaks and glass a quarter of the planet. We're good. First up, Matt. Now before you say anything, no, this is not a self-insert. It's actually the reverse. See, EBF was so good that all the way back when, God created humanity just so that they could invent electricity, America Online, and Flash. For with these free elements, he was finally able to create Rotsack. Matt is a melee fighter. He stabs fast, he stabs a lot, he stabs a stab by either pointing or by stabbing the earth to stab. His limit breaks consist of stabbing and stabbing. He likes stealing, eating, gaming, hates puzzles, gets called a hobo repeatedly, and learns by stabbing. My hero. Natalie is a mage. She casts fire, ice, thunder, opens the gates of heaven and hell. Her limit break is either censored
Hey guys.
or of biblical proportions because Jesus Christ is her name. She's boring apart from that time she wrote horny fanfic in university. Thanks for the heals. Anna is an archer. Ever seen a girl shoot an explosive arrow at a rock? Ever seen her create a tornado with a flute? If you said yes to either of these, then I guess the saw blades and the fact that water is the strongest probably doesn't surprise you. Her limits are either recycling so much or immunity regresses for the next pandemic, or a giant tree. So the thing about her is, well, see, her personality is, it's underdeveloped because, I hope these aren't her panties we're taking. She's also my second favorite character for obvious reasons. She is the best move that anyone apart from Matt can get. A move that lets Matt go a second time.
But you can give that skill to anyone.
Lance is a robotics student that really likes the latter half of the 20th century in Europe. Can't really blame him. Hungary is very interesting that time period. Did you know that it was a kingdom without a king and the regent was an admiral in a landlocked country? Very interesting. Also, do you know Budapest got the name from combining the two cities of Buda and Pest? He's got a castle, a super tank, robots, and used to have a harem because his limit breaks consist of either blowing shit up or blowing shit up. His hobbies consist of writing environmental protection laws, lifting a nation out of economic depression, building highways and creating cheap and affordable folk cars, organizing anti-smoke campaigns, being a vegetarian, and petting dogs. And finally, we have no legs, who also apparently doesn't have any arms. He stabs and he stabs and he stabs and he... Wait, hold on. Oh, never mind. He rides a star into battle. Never mind. He's unique. I'm sorry. His limit breaks consist of calling up his buddies of God Cat and Satan Cat. Don't worry about it. His hobbies consist of... But what is it that our super sexy hero and the others are supposed to do? Glad you asked.
No one cares.
Our heroes must travel from point A to point D, which stands for changing all the time. Along the way, they must loot treasure chests, steal stuff off of counters and from people's backyards. They must unlock skills, revisit old areas for the new dialogue and to complete quests, and they must walk forward on this trail to reach the new area. Alright, that's it, you little bug thing. Get over here. Defeat the opponent, get money, skill points, XP. Move onwards onto the next fight. Unlock new area. Repeat until boss, repeat until the end of the game. Just as an FYI, God is an optional boss fight in this game. Don't worry about the cultists within every settlement. Instead, just pretend you're an inspector asking why the shopkeeper has a ladder behind his fridge. Oh God cat guys, I don't like this place. I'm not really good with the dark. Wait, hold up. I see a figure in the darkness. Is that? Wait, hold up. Is that?
Nah, you're not allowed to talk about EBF 6, or else you'll end up in the graveyard.
Combat is simple. You walk up to a yellow slime, you fight the yellow slime. You're 3 out of 5 characters, while the enemy can be up to 5 in a single wave. Defeat the first wave of yellow slime, and the next wave is some ghostly apparition from hell. If you're lucky, then the weather will help you out instead of making you afraid of every astral object passing by, or the airstrike. Either you stab the enemy enough to where you win, or they stab you enough to where you have to reload a save or the auto-save and try again. Each character has HP and their limit break bar. There is no MP in this game. Instead, some moves can be used every turn while several have a cooldown. Each skill dishes out a different amount of damage to either a single foe or multiple targets. These attacks either hit once or multiple times, and some of these apply elemental damage. What is an elemental damage? An elemental damage is what happens when you strike a robot with lightning and it heals. Your damage does damage, but some damage comes with elemental damage based on your damage dealer. Combine that with enemy resistances and you either get a lot of damage or active sabotage. But do not fear, as we have the scan ability to determine their weaknesses, along with this thing called a sight. Because anyone can tell that this flaming obsidian plant is weak to water. Oh, son of a... So here is a bush. Pretty simple enemy. Since they're all bushes, they're all weak to fire, even the ones covered in mud. Except for the one that isn't. All these bugs are weak to fire because obviously. Except no, only one of them is. What are all 3 bears weak to? That's right, fire. What are dogs weak to? Including the alcoholic who gets healed by fire? That's right, poison. What are all idols weak to? Yes, from wood to gem to metal? That's right, explosives. Except for the metal one, because metal is never weak to explosives. The gloops are these dark things infesting forms of several materials. Thus they are all weak to holy. Are the squids aquatic creatures that are weak to lightning? Yes, except for the lime squid. What are the robotic fishes weak to? That's right, wind, because if you paint one of them yellow, they get healed by lightning and explosive. The wraiths are as close as you can get to the Grim Reaper, so thus they're all weak to holy. Well, half of them. The other half are weak to dark. What are the hands all weak to? Well, they come from the underworld and are in the front to life itself, so clearly, earth. Okay, here's something easier. These are the golems. The pearl golem is an aquatic rock type, so he can't be hurt by water, but can be by frozen water. Whereas the amethyst golem is entirely rock type, which means it's strong against both water and ice. And then the topaz, which is also entirely a rock type and thus is only weak to ice. You get it now? I hope you realize that there's a pattern, because at the end of this video there will be a quiz asking you what the weaknesses of the nukes are. Reminder, they detonate in 3 turns. Now additionally to elements, we have base stats. HP, attack, defense, evade, and accuracy. But we also have magical attack and magical defense. The base stats of characters are fairly straightforward in that Matt is heavy on the attack and defense, below on the magical attack and magical defense. Lance is better in accuracy and Anna is in evasion. Additionally, throughout the game there are tons of steroids that are a permanent stat boost. Can you guess where I spent 99% of my money in this game?
Okay, but this isn't special enough to have its own section.
Well, that's why we also have, I don't think these things have a name, attacks that don't attack but they can be used to later attack good. Yeah.
So buffs.
Actually, some of these are attacks, so f*** you. Most of the time you will just buff offensive and defensive skills and try to lower set stats on the enemy side. But there are other uses. Accuracy and evade doesn't seem like much, but then again neither do these attacks that miss all the time until you realize that they have a low accuracy because they are an instant kill move. And if you think enemies are bad because they are strong, they just wait till you miss 3 moves in a row because they have more evade than you do accuracy and your attack only hits once. Yeah, some attacks have higher accuracy, but meh. You should be more concerned with telling apart that not everything outside of a normal attack uses physical attack and not magic attack. So for a decade and a half you've been using Screamer to lower enemies' magical defense and attack with Matt, you've been using it wrong because most of Matt's attacks are physical. Wait, hold on. What do you mean him striking the ground and creating a layer of lava is a physical attack? And what do you mean Lance's airstrike is a magical attack? Oh yeah, it's not magical to drop a bomb, but pulling apart the Earth's mantle is a normal thing in night school. But along with stats, we have statuses. Thankfully, there's only 12, so you can easily run through this. Oh my god, okay, there's so many more. Okay, speedrun round. Good status effects. Auto revive, protection for negative events, regen, higher crit chance, protection from insta-kill moves. Bad status effect. Stage free, reduced stats, damage over time, use up your turn doing useless attacks, can't use magic, can't use consumables, will waste a turn using consumables. I don't know, something gay probably. Take extra critical hits, can't move, gonna take more damage. Whew. If you're somehow intellectually defunct, then Rodsack had an entire library for losers like you. You get there after 2 bosses. Personally, I don't need it. I've been playing this series since before I had a basic understanding of English, so I already know what I'm doing. Now then, first up, I'm gonna buff Matt's magical attack by 50 and then add on another 20 from consumable so that I get 70% more magical attack. Also, I'm not moving this injured person into the backup because they don't heal then, and the only thing needs to capture foes to bring it to low HP. And if that seems overwhelming, then don't worry. It gets worse. See, we have 2 spells called Dispel and Purify. What's the difference? Well, one cures debuffs and the other cures status problems. What's the difference? Well, I'm not saying that you can't use a garlic on the next person who's going to waste a turn eating a random consumable. I'm just severely recommending that you don't. No, wait, I just remembered. There's a skill I never used. Its effects depend upon which weapon you're using. So each and every weapon has oh no. Oh boy, Max replaying EBF3 again. Man, I love this guitar sword. It looks the coolest, thus it's clearly the best weapon in the game. You can tell that because whenever I attack something with it, it does this unique gray damage. Oh, I have to leave, which means I'm gonna have to lose the save file because I'm playing this on a browser. Oh, whatever. I'm only at this place with these alien monoliths and some black hole. I'm certain the final boss is in 1 screen away from here. In the midst of battle, you may switch between characters, swap them out for backup, eat a metal can, or throw a brick in a bomb. Switch equipment mid-battle, or summon up one of the however many creatures that you've enslaved, bought in the market with your own hands, and brought across a great ocean, and they make you money and you can trade them with other people and force them back into fight against their own kind. Yeah. Some are easy, and some are so annoying that I did apply reduced evasion and give bad luck and that thing still wouldn't budge. Like the bosses that don't have the symbol that says they can't be captured, but I don't believe you can actually do it. Oh, son of a bitch. At least I can always blame my guys for counterattacking.
There's an option to disable that.
My favorites consisted of surprisingly useful, half of the rights, Cat Ninja, forgot to ever use the monoliths, and regen. You got a headache from all this? Good, we still have more in this 400 megabyte game. Armor. That's right, buddy boy. You thought weapons buffing elements was bad enough? Bro, that's half the screen. Every weapon and armor piece buffs or debuffs stats. Additionally, armors may buff or debuff some of your own stats. Is that bad? Yes. But you try getting me off the level 5 death mask. That 50 attack is mine. Additionally, armor comes with some other benefits. Mass starting armor isn't special, but it's a level 3 and you may inflict more status effects. Like if I knew better, I wouldn't tell Lance not to change his outfit just because there's a chance to give some minor DPS. Worth it! Here's a question for the audience. What does the knight armor do?
It heavily buffs defense while slowing down evade.
Pretty much, yeah, but I also would have liked if you guessed that it periodically halves your damage and summons a warrior can.
Warrior what?
Shut up. But the worst part is that this suit of metal aura gives you immunity towards lightning while making you weak towards fire and water. But at least it's not one of the items that requires a captured foe to be upgraded. Confused? Great, because I barely touched a quarter of all armors, and that's half of the total amount because we also have female items that I didn't touch. Be thankful I forgot to talk about weapons when I could, because otherwise I'd be sitting here describing the difference between two weapons of the same element, because every element has two weapons. Now then, let's move on to something less painful for the human mind. The 55 flares of which a character can have 3 on at once.
I forgot to feed all of my characters. So, oh, I can't do that. Well, of course I have to feed them.
My childhood is going under with every passing second. Diggy diggy hole. Why can't we use all this dirt to build a bridge across? Look at where all the hidden chests and items are. You'll thank yourself later. Defeat enemies, say no to the loot they have a chance of dropping, say no to what materials are needed for upgrades and what is available in the item stores at the current moment. I would suggest you buy food and think about strategically using it to unfreeze your allies, buff them or lower their cooldowns, but I forgot about that last part until I was at the end of the game and region also unfreezes. Beer is good though. So remember to comb over the entire map whenever you unlock a new key item, as there are always more chests that you were forced to miss. And always loop around a store. Just about every goddamn bastard or something in the back. Taken. Shoplifters not welcome. Yoink. What are they gonna do about it? Raise the prices? Oh come on, there's no way you saw me take that! Although one thing you must look out for is quests. These are simple jobs mostly consisting of fighting items that can either be bought in a store or in a limited amount in one territory, or require you to capture an innocent animal to give it to a girl just so that she isn't lonely. You can also take it out afterwards and cause her to cry. But real talk. Worst case scenario, you get another area with a, oh my f***ing god, it's another puzzle. Or a character now suddenly gives loot. But now these guys give out tons of abilities. These are split between who can actually learn them, but damn. Finally, Natalie is a water spell, Anna can cast fire, Lance is a good wind spell, Natalie isn't the only one who can buff. It's kind of a bother trying to figure out which of the 5 characters are useful. Apart from Matt, he's the best.
Nah, you're just biased and you spent all your money to upgrade his equipment and buy him steroids.
In fact, he's so powerful that the only way the game ever managed to inflict serious damage was when it corrupted my hardware and severely buffed the enemies. But even then, it's as simple as materializing the Cosmic Sword Collection and oh my god, I broke the game! So worst case scenario, roll with Nolex and Lance because they have a really powerful AoE with a very long cooldown. But no, these additional abilities mean that each character is viable and can cover just about every element that need be. Not saying that every skill is good, of course. The amount of effort needed to find an ocarina for a Link so he can teach you the worst wind spell in game is almost as terrible as when I say the 7 star balls for Roku so he could rebuild his house and he instead wished for a ton of money instead of EBF free too. Also, Jeff is a loser and this absolute legend named Randy is building himself a new house. And our reward for helping him build his new crib is the freedom to rob him in front of him. Thanks for the pansies, my man. Oh yeah, Odin's blocking us until we prove our worth. Heck, after completing quests for several of them, they even appeared before the final battle to give you free stuff. Oh wait, I forgot to talk about the lore of this game. Which means I also haven't explained what's up with these pixelated monsters leading us to arcade games where it's to beat up chairs. But this means I haven't explained the alien invasion led by these rock things or the tentacle monster that's trying to delete Earth.
Hey,
bitch!
So,
My butthole!
Okay, let's start this story off on a positive note. I really wanted this game, but I was a student, so I waited for it to sale. Nick offered me a challenge with EBF5 as a reward. There was like a 2-week period where Nick was constantly spammed by screenshots of me going from the start all the way to Greenwood and the Cursed Forest, just about every day after school. And it's around there where things went south. So EBF, especially EBF5, is a game all about going into combat against a wide array of enemies that mix and match to force yourself to use different moves, equipment, and heroes. It is built on using buffs and debuffs to make fights more tense, with every new enemy being scanned, then retreating to save a turn, returning to the battle. Heck, the dev himself had 20 separate streams during which he 100%ed the game, and he added on additional challenges such as randomized foes, a time limit on your turns, and my absolute favorite, enemies always being your level, meaning grinding is useless. And he himself said that he built the game by starting on the highest difficulty, deeming it to be beatable, and then making the other difficulties a percentage base lower than that. So the dev himself recommends to be placed into a constant tense situation where every battle requires 110% attention and where there is no grinding. There's only constant slugfest where the only rest you get is from going back to the main menu to reload a save. And if that's not enough, the community even has a term called ACE, which stands for a mediocre, all challenges on epic difficulty. And if that sounds fun, there's even a second layer of achievements just for this, which I only found out about 10 minutes ago. The update that added these challenges had to make the game easier so that it was actually beatable with these. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, I just want to temper legend something, man. I don't want to do all this complicated stuff. Heck, I basically played this game on a sugar rush autopilot because despite me being already spoiled about a lot of things, I still had an absolute blast just playing through and for the first time ever playing an EBF game where I didn't know what to expect in the next area. Sure, the battle music got boring, which is why I was so happy to get to No Man's Land and hear a new track. And I remember some fights that had me considering grinding before the first boss on normal difficulty, but I just powered through. Beat Lance and got to Greenwood and fought the voodoo dolls outside Anna's house. And it's about there where things started going south. Begrudgingly, I got through the forest with no enthusiasm, got to the Arctic place, and at that point I dropped the game to not return for all these years. My favorite childhood game series, my ass. Probably spent a week gaslighting myself saying, it's gonna get better. Heck, I had PTSD from Viking monoliths and now I have from voodoo dolls. There's audio tracks I like, the ones I don't dislike, and for the first time ever a track I dislike. Heard this thing so many goddamn times I was certain it was gonna show up at my graduation as well. In fact, I was so pissed that later on I bought the album separately, so suck it, Rotsack. Look, I don't blame Matt for removing MP and adding timers instead. Basic attacks remain, it's not impossible to get by with that thing alone. Although I'm still mostly rocking AoEs, which is why I primarily play with Matt, Nolegs, and Lance. If you think I'm ever switching out Matt for anyone else or not buying him all the stat boosts like I did over a decade ago, then you haven't been paying attention. The character switching is a very interesting concept, but because of the way I played it, it wasn't really useful until I unlocked way more skills and everyone became a specialist in some way. So for most of the game, I only switched out characters just because I hadn't used them in a while, and if Nolegs didn't have a great AoE and Nano Holy Elemental Bow, I would have rocked this game with just 3 characters for the entire game. I didn't mind the captures, but the constant, I don't want to spoil myself anymore so I won't look them up, mixed in with the, just get in the fucking box already, made me eventually give up on anything that wasn't a second time capture, which admittedly I still carried on in this playthrough. I don't even remember if I liked any specific summons back then, but I do remember going through this list and eventually just giving up and getting all damage summons to ease my headache, which I pretty much did this time again, except I just ignored everything that wasn't a weather change or did low damage. Reskins, okay, I'm mostly picking on this because I'm biased, but I still wonder why Matt doesn't start with his iconic sword, instead we find it later. His fire weapon from the third game is now a staff, and the OG fire staff is gone. Man, you know what? Screw this. I don't gotta deal with this. Screw you, Rotsack. I'm going to discover the new world, and I'm going to create a free nation where the MP system still exists, but everyone's forced to only use free ability. God damn it, there's already people here. And it was in this headspace where EBF5 slowly joined my ex, and the quicker I forget about you, the better. But unlike her, EBF has been there for about as long as I can remember. And despite my best efforts, I can't just leave this final entry in the series. I mean, what else am I supposed to do? Play Minecraft and spend more time trying to find a base location than actually build, where Nick does all the building, I'm just gathering materials all the time? TF2, Don't Starve, Core Keeper, Valheim, Portal. Actually, wait, no, I got something better. Epic War, Electro Man 2, Raft Wars, Boxhead, Grow Your Cube, 1066, Jacksmith, Plasma Burst 2, most epic pony game ever. I Quit Must Dash, EBF free walkthrough, Who Stole My Sofa, 10 and 11 February 2009 technical talks by Professor Shayla S. Hamami, Strike Force Heroes. There is no alternative, no matter how much I tried to hide it. I'm not like Nick, I can't just switch my fascination every single month and then constantly blame me for not accepting that Tinker Island is the greatest RPG to ever exist, and that GT hasn't been the same ever since he saw San Andreas played on a phone. Well, I'm not like that. I don't care that Terraria has also been with me for so long that I still remember when I would get angry at Let's Players for them not chopping down trees for more acorns and furniture to sell for more shurikens and grenades against the Eye of Cthulhu, or when I thought the Corruption Axe was a better melee weapon than the sword just because it looked cooler, although it does do more damage. Alright, EBF3 has been here for about as long as I can remember. Why do I always pick melee in RPG games that test out melee capabilities in shooters? EBF. Why am I a kleptomaniac? EBF. Why do I always hoard items until the last moment and miss out on a ton of mechanics and upgrades because of it? EBF. Why am I paranoid? Well, you kinda start to doubt your own eyes after you start with the 50th fight showing one enemy justified something completely else. When several NPCs moved from their places to meet me at the end of the game, I genuinely thought they abandoned me. It's gotten so bad that sometimes entering new areas, I'd switch to the cursor just because it might show something I can't see. Next I'm gonna find out that these paintings aren't paintings and there's a friendship mechanic which determines which ending you get. Oh, you think I'm joking? You know how many times I broke the fabric of reality to get loot? I cried when I thought I caused the extinction of the woolly mammoth in EBF3, and yet every game is more and more woolly mammoths. Where is it? Where's your secret woolly mammoth factory? I had to deal with games before, but now that another girl has left Nick, he's gone fully anarchist incel and he's escaping the system by becoming gay and transitioning for his boyfriend before they both move to Japan. So now I got Nick asking me why I'm not gay. Because I grew up with these two. And I still remember Serrano from Skyrim and the Dryad from Terraria, whose fan art you sent to me and my mom saw it. When my dad left and my mom sent me to replace the parent-teacher conferences because EBF was there for me. Would I know English well enough to know the word revive and thus always sold those useless revive items for money? EBF was there for me. When I bonded more closely with my other childhood friend Le upon realizing that we both knew and played EBF, man, I have good memories of hanging with my favorite teacher after class in that room. But playing EBF4 with Le all the way up until the first bear in EBF4 without getting caught is still my favorite memory in that room. When I either didn't know the translation or meaning of the term XP farm, so the only time I've ever been in an EBF game on epic difficulty was both in the same room where I didn't grind enough to where the Praetorian wouldn't one-shot Natalie with every attack, and the run where I didn't use the XP farm correctly, and instead of fighting infinite waves of enemies, I just rushed to beat the fight, go back to the slime cat, reset the area, and return to the boss. I didn't even know if the Hydras gave the most XP, I just guessed. I did that for like 2-3 days straight while listening to music. It was awesome. When I didn't understand how to play the first 2 EBF games because they're a constant wave of enemies upon enemies until you beat the game, I just spent all my money on bombs, used them up, and never made any effort to learn how to play them, and stuck with EBF3. When I came back from my first ever review 4 years ago, I told Nick to check out the game. He came across this patch of trees. Now even as a kid I saw that the entrance was either in the top or the right, not from the bottom. So I'd always gone from this area to try to get in. I know this because Nick didn't notice that and started trying to find an entryway from the bottom. Something that I made fun of him for doing until he hit a trigger for a bit of dialogue that has always been in this game and I had never read. Another fun fact, this patch of chests can be accessed by going through this log. But young me didn't understand that that's a hollow log, so eventually I gave up ever trying to get to those chests. A habit hard-coded into my DNA to the point that even now I pass that log every time until I come around and remember. You want something more recent? Here you go. Some 2 or 3 months ago, I was in my uni's library playing EBF4 on Epic in preparation for this game, and suddenly I remembered to tab out and see if a person I was waiting on finally responded. I was going to a voluntary event where older students prepare juniors for oral. Anyways, they responded and I realized that the event starts in 10 minutes, and we teachers had to arrive earlier than that. Boy, EBF5 kids would never know, but Matt's AoE attack wasn't always a circular throw. Quick slash, away! Ow. And that is the OSI and TCP/IP model. Because I can't guarantee that you will be given a piece of paper, if you struggle to remember these layers or always confuse transport with network, then you can try to remember these as please do not throw sausage pizza away, or in the reverse, all people say they never download porn. Oh yeah, also that time I got me and my mom nearly locked in a building for the night because I played EBF3. God cat, just imagine if EBF5 had come out when I was in 5th or 6th grade and the story somewhat made sense. Then in computer class I probably would have made a presentation on that instead of Skyrim. Imagine what would have happened if I started the EBF craze in my school. I'd be picked first in dodgeball, I'd be invited to all the parties, I wouldn't have to do group projects alone. I'd just be chilling in the hallway instead of having my bag stolen by Nick's classmates that the people constantly going past and going, hey yo Dekaivn, what's good? Hey yo man, can I have a mint? Yeah, me too. Oh, this is that premium Greenwood stuff. Oh, this stuff costs like 20 kiwis, dude. Yeah man, this stuff is straight regenerating my freeze if you know what I mean. Hey yo, what the cat doing? Don't sound like a loser just yet? Don't worry, I got you. Cue to the summer after I graduated middle school. I joined to the chat of all the other boys that got catfished by a small British streamer as part of my lunch break. And on like the 3rd or 4th stream I ever attended, I saw a literal 1 in a trillion event. I swear I still get a shock in my brain whenever I think about this. I joined up a stream, and before I fully settled down and tuned in, my eyes glanced at the chat, I do my thing, and then I rapidly turned back to confirm whether or not I saw some guy I hadn't yet seen turn to the streamer and suggest that he knows the game with interesting combat, art, and music. And that was my first friend after I graduated. And if both of us didn't have personal stuff come September, we'd probably still be talking today 3 years later. I miss you, buddy. Although, like the EBF chat he is, he only had time to pop into stream once a month at 4 AM. And every time it went like, hey, how's it going? I'm going to X. It's dark and cold. What have I missed? When are you gonna stream EBF5? Your chest doesn't hurt enough? Alright, that's it. I'm pulling out the big guns. 5th grade woodshop class. We're told to draw whatever and cut it out. Guess how good my art skill was back then. Not knowing what to do, I asked Le and Nick to play rock, paper, scissors to determine whether I drew Godcat or Heaven's Gate. Nick went and asked for Heaven's Gate. I said that I don't remember the details and I can't draw, so Godcat it is. And to add a bit of flair, I did a curve above as if it was a keychain. Please tell me I kept that keychain and I didn't leave it at school. No! And even if none of that was true, I'm still a part of the order. Alright, I didn't talk about that previously. Okay, so short TLDR. A long time ago, the girl that made the music for this game had a website, and a few of us did some digging around and found something so catastrophic that if it was released, it would destroy the human race. And so he voluntarily created an order that swears to never talk about the thing we saw. And so, no matter how much I tried, and even if I didn't listen to Matt's updates about his new game or mobile ports or whatever else, I knew that despite whatever rage and discontent I had with the game, I could never rest easy if I didn't at the very least finish it. Cue to not that long ago when I finally decided to put my demons to sleep and click that favorite play button for the first time in 3 years. I was not exactly excited. And so as a bit of self-preparation I decided to do something that the younger me would never expect my EBF loving ass to do. I played EBF 3 and 4 on epic difficulty. I grinded, I looked at skill descriptions, I upgraded whatever weapons and skills I could, already knowing what's up ahead, and yet I actually really liked playing these childhood favorites of mine and relearning mechanics so that I could be as prepared as I could be for the next fight. EBF 4 is seasonal items? How many other lies have I been told by the EBF 5 Council? And thus it was that with a surprisingly optimistic spirit that I saw a logo part of me wanted to never see again. And I actually had fun. The difficulty wasn't high. My elemental attacks were poorly suited to the enemies, but I still managed to get by with basic melee most of the time. I grinded a bit despite not feeling threatened. The boss was okay. The ice caves were okay. No Man's Land was a bit harder, but as soon as I got Ant and some thunder skills, it went alright. Sure, the fish things that make you wait after each one is destroyed is still as annoying as ever. And the yellow boss can go f themselves. But I wasn't as pessimistic as one might assume. I wasn't joyful, but I was okay with the experience. I got back to Greenwood, redid the voodoo fight and wondered how it was so bad the last time. Eventually got back to the Frost Continent, and after 12 hours of game time, I finally passed my last playthrough and I answered something new. And I genuinely had a second of childhood amazement as I wanted to play EBF 5. Not because I'd already gone most of the way, but because I was actually interested to see what the boss of this place was. And what was with this meteor that everyone was talking about. You can play EBF 5 with just man? Hell yeah! I got more summons, tried to use them at the very least. I played around with more diverse skills and weapon builds and periodically changing your characters just to see what is good where and keep on buying stuff for man. And I actually liked it. I liked the bosses. I liked the enemies. I liked that it wasn't too difficult.
You played the game on easy difficulty.
Even if I already knew what the final boss was, and it was awesome. Oh wait, I forgot about all the optional areas. God damn it. Oh my god, it's bad enough that the enemies from these additional areas don't give any XP. But neither do the beef the bosses, and then there's puzzles in between in every dungeon. Why? Thank God for the people that made maps for the puzzle, because otherwise I would have had to pay Rodsack $2 on his Patreon. I will admit that in the end it was surprisingly nice to go into these places with mostly non-elemental weapons and still get through these fights with a lot more enjoyment than I thought. And even when I returned to the normal areas, I was still stronger because these dungeons have a lot of stat boosts. But why I am currently having to go through puzzles and zombies so vehicle matter to open a gate, I will never understand. Oh my god, there's a vegan. Oh god, I'm gonna... And it was exactly at that moment, right before entering the final area and finishing up these optional dungeons, that I realized that I did enjoy EBF 5. Of course, this isn't to say anything bad about the developer. He's right in saying that the mana system barely did anything to diversify combat, although I'm still sticking to a couple favorite of my moves. He has every right to create a large array of weapons and armor to force us to innovate, not that I will comply. The summons and flares simply have way more strategy to this already ginormous game. Not that I actually like 99% of them. Of course, I'm not trying to say that the dev is great, he can still go f himself for not making Matt the best character. And you know, it's not like I'm still falling anything back to 3 years ago when he commented on my second ever video. No, that's stupid. Although I would like to revisit those days.
You have a time machine.
But during these last bits of my playthrough, I finally realized that... Wait, I have a time machine. Look Nick. So young, so gullible, so naive, and as of yet far away from the darkness of this world. He has no thesis to write, no parents to impress with an education, girl, job, house, no car by the age of 15. His only remaining friend isn't an asshole. Just youthful bliss as he plays the game he long since gave up trying to understand. Sigh. Where did it all go so wrong? Why does the blue-haired lady not wear any pants? And why are Natalie's boobs always visible? Hang on, I'm going to Google this. What's a deviant? Wow! Epic Battle Fantasy 5. I wish I liked this game more than I do, but perhaps by the next time I come around I will enjoy it even more than I do now. In the end, I do like this game.
On easy difficulty.
The combat's fun, the skills are many, the cooldown is a good addition that means players are forced to innovate, although the other half of me is still pissed I can't use AoEs all the time. The enemies are many, and just as diverse as they are annoying. I'd say the same about bosses, except they're fun. No wait, this game doesn't have any machine gun nipples. Never mind, EBF 5 sucks. The overworld is absolutely ginormous. The quests are many and the secrets make me wanna... someone. There's a ton of quests, puzzles, and items hidden behind something requiring a key item or reading up on NPC dialogue. Or don't listen to me and just play it yourself. Hey, what do I know? I only spent one afternoon sorting through 3,000 bits of audio just to find a couple for this video. Somehow finding borderline pornography in the game's assets isn't surprising to me. Well, here, let's play my favorite game of how many of these can I recognize. Oh yeah, optional dungeons. Paying Matt $2 is also optional, but then again, so is paying for this great game. Hey, Matt suggests the same thing that I use. Nice.
If EBF 5 is so good, why aren't there 2 EBF 5s, huh?
And if you got the time, then wait for a sale. Game usually goes like 50-60% off and the base price is 20 bucks. But hey, if you don't believe me or SteamDB, then just turn on notifications on Rotzak's channel and periodically he will mention sales. Or wait till Christmas because apparently Rotzak is a part-time Santa Claus as he offers Steam keys for EBF5 for anyone having a bad Christmas. Fun fact, I was thinking about getting one for Nick even though he does have the money for it, but he would only play it in like 200 years, so meh. And if the community found out, they would probably call it stealing, so, you know. Oh, come on, I said I'd only think about it. Do none of you people understand humor? Welcome back. Or just go play EBF free. It's free. Or get EBF 4 and 5 on mobile. Thanks for making that forced voluntary birthday trip a lot more enjoyable. Oh yeah, I was gonna have a bit here where I tried to even things out with the dev and then threatened to kidnap him, but whatever, I don't care at this point. Thank you, Matt Rotzak, for spending so much time and effort into making the greatest game you will ever make. Oh my god, this fucking Where's Waldo game's taking even longer. Thank you for making the audio, apart from the fact that I finally found a track that I dislike and I was already spoiled by Mechanical Condemnation, so there's nothing left for me. Oh yeah, apparently some of the music just remixes of other songs. I don't care. I get to listen to remixes of EBF 3 and 4 songs. I'm not complaining. Who the f are all of these people?
Those are all the other people that worked on this game.
Okay, and were they there when I was a kid? No, so I don't give a f. Oh yeah, achievements. So because I've been epic for how long? You already know that in my playthrough, I got a whole... Oh, what the f? So go play it. The game's a lot of fun, and if you're not as biased as me, then you'll probably enjoy it a heck of a lot more. There's a reason why this is the primary EBF game that people talk about. Or don't, because this f***er ruined the last good thing from my childhood. Let's see what other things he's been messing with. Hey yo, hold up. Mobile EBF free! And that's all he wrote because I cannot be asked. Look man, I'm at the ending. I'm tired. This script was only supposed to be half as long. I don't care. I'm tired. Oh yeah, New Game Plus. That's a thing in these games I never talked about. Apparently it takes place right as soon as you finish the last cutscene. Thank you, thank you. So, a warrior, a mage, a gunner, an archer, and a cat walk into an item store. So what the fuck do I do now? Waiting for EBF5 was the last good thing in my life. I've lost all my friends or they left me. Nick's an asshole. Mike's can go fuck yourself. I'm not getting a job after all this studying and they've raised the fucking cost as well, so woohoo. No job, no car, no girl. Man, the thing I trained for 10 years, that's also out the window. Man, I ain't got shit. And the last time I truly remember being happy was back when I was playing EBF 3. You know, the game that I played so much that I can't hear that one battle theme without the fucking Natalie casting sound the first 3 seconds. That's a funny fucking world we live in. That's not what Matt would have wanted. You know what? Fuck this. Nick, get my sword, pull out the EBF free soundtrack from the cobwebs, and get my sunscreen. We're going back to Kid Kingdom Ruins and Epic Battle Fantasy 3.